Harris ticket needs to inspire and motivate these people, meaning the young activists and protesters. And where they hit a roadblock is she's a former prosecutor who had a less than admirable record as a prosecutor. Angela, you understand the base of the party pretty well. You know Senator Harris pretty well. Is this just some grumbling, which is normal, or is it a problem?
No, I think that anytime you get to a place where folks are starting to merge interests, there's a problem. But I think the greatest thing is that iron sharpens iron. And so what we have to do is ensure that Kamala and Joe Biden are listening to what people have been saying throughout the primary, throughout the most recent racial tensions that we know exist because there are problems that have not been addressed for years and centuries in this country. And so what really has to happen is the Biden campaign has to demonstrate a willingness to not just schedule listening sessions and Zoom calls, but to ensure that those listening sessions and Zoom calls turn into policy shifts. I know firsthand from seeing Kamala work diligently on the Injustice in Policing Act that she does that it goes from a Zoom call and a phone call to a policy shift. And I think him having her on his side will demonstrate just that. And if there's not a notable change leading up until November with her being there, I would be completely surprised.
Bankole, where you live, Detroit, Michigan, it will be one of the key tests. Can you get significant African-American turnout and win with other constituencies as well? You wrote a pretty tough column on Saturday as Joe Biden was nearing the end of his search. The headline was Joe Biden insults black voters, VP pick his shot at redemption. And you wrote, among other things, just because Biden served under the nation's first black president, Barack Obama, doesn't make him an authority on black consciousness. He was placed on the Obama ticket to appeal to a segment of white voters, not to legitimize the ticket. What is your take on this choice? Do you believe it will help him keep? He has significant support in the black community. Let's not understate that. But will it help him with enthusiasm, help him with turnout, or do you have questions?
Well, I think it is good that we move past the question of the black female VP. And I was happy to see, John, that Governor Gretchen Whitmer was not selected to be on the ticket because it would have been the greatest political travesty in modern democratic politics. I think we've moved past the VP selection, that black women have always been the bane of the Democratic Party's existence. They've worked for the party. They've done everything to make Democrats successful. And it is time to see a black woman at the ticket as a VP. Now we have to talk about policy here. I think Kamala Harris, Senator Harris, has to go beyond the pale of just being selected as a VP to now really get into the black community and talk to communities of color and talk to black people in Detroit. Detroit is the epicenter of the urban crisis, John. I've said it on your program before. This is the nation's largest black city. And what Senator Harris needs to do is to come here and speak to people who are speaking in the streets. I mean, the Black Lives Matter movement, I would think as a former prosecutor, she should be in a guilty position to really want to show the opposite, that in fact she supports criminal justice reform. She supports the ending the qualified immunity doctrine for police officers. She supports those things that are coming out of the Black Lives Matter movement. And let's not forget, John, that Joe Biden is not without clean hands. I mean, he authored the 1994 crime bill. There's still atonement to be made for that. And I think now the burden is on Senator Harris and Joe Biden himself to really say, look, this is what we plan to do, and it cannot be status quo anymore. I think the fact that we were able to demand to have a black person on this ticket shows that it can no longer be a status quo ticket.
Oh, I hope all of the candidates. I hope all of the candidates come. Yes, please, Angela, jump in.
I'm sorry about that, John. I just want to say really briefly, I think that it's important to understand her record in the Senate as well. We talk about her record as a prosecutor as if after that she wasn't elected statewide as California's Attorney General, as if after that she wasn't elected again statewide in that same role, and then after that elected statewide to serve in the Senate for California. While she's been in the Senate, she hasn't just been an advocate for Californians, she's been an advocate for black issues, for black priorities, and especially criminal justice reform. In fact, noted by data that she is one of the most progressive senators in the United States Senate. And I think that's important. I believe, to your point, that she should go to Detroit, and I believe she would be honored to go and listen.
I think, Bankole, that's part of the issue, whether you're talking about Vice President Biden, former Vice President Biden, or Senator Harris, in the sense that, some of these young activists, and I applaud their activism, some of them just weren't alive. So they read about the 1984 crime bill, or they're told about the 84 crime bill. Will they take into account, in your view, and do they need that face-to-face encounter to say, okay, that's what I did then? Joe Biden has said there were some things wrong about that bill, and he says his position have changed. As Angela just noted, Kamala Harris today is different from Kamala Harris, the San Francisco prosecutor. Do you get credit for evolving, or do you get held for where you were, the one thing that people oppose?
You get credit for evolving, but your past matters. When we look at national office, we look at the totality, the sum total of your entire political life. And I think when you look at Senator Harris, I think there are different chapters. The California chapter is very significant. But quickly to the Biden issue, though, what the Biden ticket should avoid is what Hillary Clinton did. When she encountered Black Lives Matter in 2016, she was repulsive. In fact, she said, no one has ever asked me to apologize. That's what she said. It's on the record. And Bill Clinton came out and apologized, but it was too late. So if you're going to talk to young activists, if you're going to talk to these new emerging leaders in this new American reality, you have to go and be humble enough to say, look, I accept my responsibilities. I made some bad decisions. And how can we move together to make this nation whole again?
I agree with about 70% of, sorry, John, again, really quick. About 70% of what you said, but just one quick fact. Hillary Clinton actually did apologize for her role in the crime bill, which wasn't significant because she wasn't in the Senate, but she apologized even for the rhetoric. In fact, hold on. Let me just offer you this because I think it's important. This is where we agree. Joe Biden, on the other hand, went on an interview on The Breakfast Club, and when it was asked when Hillary Clinton apologized for the crime bill, his response was, well, Hillary was wrong. And what I think we agree on, right, is the atonement part of this. He has to say that was then, there were things that were different. If I had known what I know now, I wouldn't have taken this road, especially given where we are, especially given these times. This is not where we should be. He's not yet made that pivot, but again, with Kamala there, I think he'll be one step closer to it.